From an emotional standpoint, I've been teaching horses to put their heads down forever because if their head's down, they're typically more relaxed, right? So a couple things. And a lot of what you're going to hear me talk about is mental, emotional, physical, and trying to isolate which one. One of the specialties that I have is helping them figure out which one they need more of. Is the horse not understanding it? That's mental. Is the horse too emotional to be able to say yes? They know the answer, but they can't say yes because emotionally they're not settled enough. Or physically, can they not do it, or do they need to do something different than they're doing? Okay, so mental, emotional, physical. So we're going to talk about that just a little bit here. So we got head down. Most of you guys already know we pull on the rope here. Teach them a yield to put their head down. Okay, so he put his head down. So that's a good place to start. If your horse can't do that, you need to start there. Okay, once you have that working for you, I would like to see you take that to the next level and go, once their head is down, which he needs to practice this better. That's not a real soft feel. Lana. Okay, then I would like to see you test yourself, and could you ask your horse to back up and do it? Because when their head is down, they do some movement forward and backward. They're also doing some of the things that Emily's talking about with engaging their core. Remember she talked about I'm not going to get into it, but you know what I mean. There's benefits. There's benefits mentally, emotionally, and physically. So just like you guys are aware, just because you can do something at a standstill doesn't mean you can do it at a walk, at a trot, at a canter, right? I'm not saying we're doing this at a canter, but do it at a walk and trot. They need to be able to keep their head down and a backup. You could even ask them to do some basic yields. You could say, could you keep your head down, and could you move your hindquarters while your head stays down? Okay? Could you move sideways while your head is down? And you would be amazed at how many horses can be helped emotionally by asking them to move with their head down. It's very hard for them. They have emotionally, for a lot of horses, very hard for them to turn loose to us controlling their head. That pony that I'm talking about, trying to just do what I just did there would cause her to rear and flip over. Just that. Nothing more than what I just did. That request. He made this look easy because he's emotionally fit. He's balanced, right? He wants cookies. Don't bite me, I'll bite you back. So that's an easy request for him because emotionally it wasn't bothered, but you will trigger emotional responses from a lot of horses. Now another point that I want to make is whenever we teach a horse a cue, like lowering their head from the halter, you create a connection in their brain that goes from pressure here, head down equals comfort. Feels better, okay? So there's a connection made. If you have a horse that wants to keep their head up, this is not going to be easy for them, okay? So whenever something is not easy for them, but it's also very important for that horse, right? Okay, that's enough of that. Whenever it's not easy for them, you're going to want to find lots of ways to do it. Does that make sense? So if you find 2 or 3 ways to ask them to put their head down, they're going to get better at it. So it's going to be important for them to learn that. Now, when your horse is out in a circle, you can't be out there unless you want to get a workout, running around while they're getting a little exercise, right? Asking them to keep their head down. It's not practical. So we need a cue that we can offer them at a distance. You guys with me so far? So we want them to walk and trot around us with their head down. But I'm going to start off close range, and I'm going to transition from, okay, you can put your head down with me, putting a feel here, to could I make a cue where when you're out on that circle, could I lift my hand as the cue? I like that cue. Okay, so that's one that I'll use. And the way I'm going to teach that and introduce that to the horse is just by lifting here on the halter. You can see he didn't like that. So he was able to push into pressure there, and that was the answer. Put your head down, right? So this idea of over-agreeing with the horse, saying, let me help you put your head up. Now all of a sudden this horse that wasn't really super happy about me asking him to put his head down is now like, let me put my head down. I don't want it up. And I'm like, okay. I'm going to wait for him to get there. I was waiting for him to get committed. Now, when I felt the pressure, he didn't instantly drop his head. But if after you let it go, if their head goes lower and lower, you know it was the right timing, right? So his head's lower now than what it was when I had it up. Now, each time I do this, as they start to learn, I'm going to lift this up slower and slower. Okay? You guys seeing it? And then you build distance. It's literally just one step at a time, okay? There is one other thing I might do with a horse that's a little like if you got a horse that's really difficult and they do not want to put their head down at all, I will actually teach them a cue where I tap them on the belly with the stick, and I don't stop tapping them on the belly because this is more pressure ultimately than me lifting the halter up. This is more, I can make it more uncomfortable tapping here. Then when the head goes down, I quit. Do you guys see how we did that? It's just a conditioned response. So even though I'm tapping on the belly and there's nothing making his head go down, when his head goes down, I stop tapping. He associates the two. Bada bing, bada boom. The next thing I want to just bring a little bit of attention to is basically learning. I'm going to show you guys one way to do this, but I want you to think about it in terms of applying it to other things you do. The more you understand about biomechanics for the horse and correct movement, we start realizing all the times that we're a little bit slack on that and we'll just do something and they had poor form while they did it. Well, the higher levels you get with this, the more important every move you do adds up, okay? They all add up. So if you're riding and you ask that horse for a change of direction, you want to do a flying lead change, and you want them to have left flexion, you want them to get straight, and then right flexion, and do a flying change in the new lead. But then when you change direction on the ground, you just go whoop, and flip them around over here. That's not gonna, you know what I mean? They're all equal to the horse. They don't know, oh, this one's real important, this one's not. It's just a movement to them. You guys see where I'm going with this? So what you want to start doing is adding in correct movement. So one of the things that I see a lot of people do is when they change directions with a horse, they make it really hard for the horse to do a nice change of direction. And where this typically becomes a problem for people is when they go to liberty, they lose their horse. The horse leaves, okay? So it's just awareness thing that I want to bring to your attention. And I was aware of this and paying attention to it when I was asking a horse for a flying lead change online, but I was not very aware of it when I was just doing liberty or just doing walk trot circles, okay? But I just want to point this out to you. So here's maybe a more typical change of direction that you might know how to do. Change hands, back up, get two eyes, step in, and drive them the other way, okay? Now, if that's the only way you do it, you're probably going to lose a horse at liberty, okay? Now, what I want, now I'm going to do it a different way, and I'm not going to say what I'm going to do. You guys just watch what happens, how this looks different. So remember how it just looked. Now watch this one. What was different that time? Yeah. He came through the middle. I got out of his way and let him keep his body correct and move on to the new circle. So what my feet did was an L. And then I ended up back where I was. So you don't have to do L's and end up over there, okay? And I'll give credit to Dan James here. I was watching him do this, and I was like, his horses don't have to get all wonky when he changes directions because he gets out of their way as they come through the middle. And I was like, I'm going to start doing that, okay? So let me show you that again. So horse is going around you. Change hands with the rope and the stick. You're going to back up straight, okay? And then I'm going to turn, I'll make an L, get out of his way, and let him come onto the new circle. You see it? I'm trying to think of which way I'm turning. I'm going, I guess, backing in the new direction. So I back up straight, and then when I turn, I back up towards the new direction that we're going to go. See, I turn that way, and now he's going that way. Does that help? So you'll really see, it's just I'm doing this for you guys to help build the idea of physically trying to set your horses up to be correct in their movement and not just doing something, do it correctly. And then I also want to just put some attention to the idea of building connection as you're doing it, where you're not sending, anytime you send a horse away from you, it's like if you then want them to come back around you, it's exact opposites. It would be like if I'm trying to tell you how to get to Florida and I send you to California first. That wouldn't make any sense, would it? But if you're going to end up going to the left, don't send your horse to the right first. Here's another example. If you're riding your horse and you know you're going to ride to the rail and you're going to go left. You know you're going to head down there. So you're riding your horse and you turn to the right to then turn left. That doesn't make any sense to them biomechanically or mentally. Does that make sense? You see where I'm going with this? So if you were going to be more aware, more conscious of setting your horse up for success mentally and physically, and you're going to go to the left, but here you are, you're facing here, you would tip their nose to the left, and you might put this leg on them, keep their nose left, and just leg yield over a little bit, and carry on to the left. That would be a much more quality way to ride and to navigate that.